And welcome you all to the HR Conclave on new labor codes. So as HR professionals, we are used to juggling people, policies, and paperwork. And sometimes all of it even before we have our first cup of coffee. And just when we think that we have mastered the rule book, along come the new labor codes. Not to make life harder, but to make it simpler, clearer, and future ready. Today's conclave is about understanding what is changing, what is staying, and most importantly, what this means for us at HR, as HR leaders, as educators, and as change enablers. These codes are not just legal reforms. They are a shift in how India thinks about work, about workers, and about workplaces. So over the next few hours, let's decode, discuss, and demystify the new labor codes practically, proactively, and maybe even painlessly. I would like to welcome for our inaugural session the guests on the stage. So Dr. C. Jayakumar, Executive VP, CHRO Larsen & Toubro, and National President NHRDN. Dr. Tapas Kumar Patnaik, Director HR NALCO and Regional President East NHRDN. Dr. Tapas Panda, Executive Deputy Chief Labour Commissioner. Dr. Panish Rao, ex-CHRO LTI Mindtree and NHRD core member. I would request all of you to be on the stage. I would like to request Ms. Bobby Patnaik, who is the president of Bhubaneswar chapter of NHRD and also AVP and HR business leader of Infosys, to welcome all the guests.
Thank you, Kavita, and a very warm welcome to respected, you might have to switch it off, Kavita, otherwise it will resonate. Thank you. Respected members on the dais and off the dais, and my dear friends, and CUTM dignitaries, a very warm welcome. Like Kavita said, there are multiple phrases which generally raises the blood pressure of most HR professionals. Most of the time it is words like attrition, employee satisfaction, performance appraisal, and obviously the main suspect, which is the rating distribution at the end of the year. But of late, BP of HR professionals has been rising to a very different phrase, which is the new labor code. I think when I was seeing the Q3 results, most of the organizations' margins have actually got impacted due to the impact of the new labor code. So all of us are spending feverish nights trying to calculate what's the impact of the new labor code, answering queries of the CEO, answering queries from the labor court, employees, a lot of employees writing to me saying, you know, what's going to change after the new labor code? So that's the new, red flag on the horizon, which is giving us sleepless nights. But on a more serious note, I'm extremely glad that we could organize this conclave, which is about such a contemporary topic, so relevant, so quickly. And all of this happened about 2 months back, Panish. Just about a couple of months back, when Dr. Panish was visiting CUTM, we met over a coffee in a cafe just outside Bhubaneswar airport, me, he, and Shwetalina. And he said, what can we do? And that's how the idea of the HR conclave germinated. And honestly, I'm surprised we could pull this off in so short a time. The entire credit goes, obviously, one, to Panish. Secondly, to Director HR NALCO, who's also the regional president of NHRDN East, for his wonderful sponsorship in terms of getting multiple CHROs, and some of them are sitting here, Alok Pal is sitting here, getting us speakers, getting us resources to pull this off. Dr. Jayakumar was actually the surprise in this entire package, because I never expected, given his busy schedule, he'll be able to make time. But thank you, Panish, for being the influencer in this case and getting him. And Dr. Tapas Panda, who's a very senior member, who's worked as Deputy CLC, extremely busy person. In fact, We were supposed to give him a much longer duration. Unfortunately, because of time constraint, we could not do it. But thank you, sir, for being able to make it here today. A round of applause for all the 4 gentlemen on the stage who have managed to make it today for the inaugural. Thanks to all the organizers and the organizations who have sponsored people for this conclave today. Our sponsors for today, which is NALCO, OHPC, OMC, whose director is here. We also have TriStar and Spine Technologies who have also been a sponsor. We also have IOCL and SBI as one of the sponsors. But one of my biggest thanks goes to the UTM management, to Supriya, to Dr. Mukti Mishra, and to Shwetalina and the volunteers who've been able to make this conclave a success. And last but not the least, our EC, who's made this possible. I know this was supposed to be a welcome, but it's turned into a Thanksgiving because I thought it's important at the start of the day, not at the end of the day, to give a gratitude to all of those who made this successful. So once again, a very warm welcome to all of you, and let this be a very fruitful and engaging day. Thank you.
Bobby, please stay back for the lamp lighting. May I request everybody to please come and auspiciously inaugurate the occasion with the lamp lighting. I would like to request Dr. Tapas Kumar Patnaik to give the opening address. He is the Director HR NALCO and the Regional President East NHRDN, and as already Bobby mentioned, he is one of the key orchestrators of this conclave. So Dr. Patnaik is a distinguished academician and a seasoned HR professional. He holds a PG as well as a PhD in PMIR from Utkal University in addition to a graduate degree in law. He began his professional journey about 30 years ago with Hindustan Copper Limited in 1991, and he has held several key leadership positions and contributed significantly to shaping progressive HR practices. Dr. Tapas Kumar Patnaik has assumed the charge as director on the board of NALCO from 2025, and prior to joining NALCO, he served as executive director HR in IOCL. Dr. Patnaik's rich blend of academic excellence, legal acumen, and hands-on experience in the public sector makes him valuable asset to NALCO leadership team. In fact, the CV is slightly longer, but in the interest of time, I have made it shorter. Dr. Patnaik.
Thank you, ma'am. Respected Dr. Jayakumar ji, National President, NHRDN, Panis Rao ji, Dr. Tapas Panda, my senior and mentor, former Deputy CLC Central, all the management members from Centurion University, the executive body members from NHRDN, all senior HR leaders, all the HR business leaders who have today joined as participants for this conclave, and my dear students of Centurion University. A very good morning to all of you. In fact, it is a pleasure for me to be here as part of this NHRDN conclave. I must thank Bobby Patnaik madam, who insisted that I should come. So thank you madam for inviting me for this program. In fact, I am thankful to NHRDN because NHRDN is a one professional body which is now headed by Dr. C. Jayakumar. This started in 1985 and it is doing a lot of work on HR front. In fact, particularly on knowledge sharing, on professional development, they have a lot of programs and lot of certification programs are also there, and some more are in offering. So I hope NHRDN will continue this type of programs, and I am also now part of NHRDN. So I must thank the NHRDN top leadership for making me a part of this. Coming back to today's subject, yes, this is very apt. Last 3 months we have been, of course, since 1920, we are in everywhere, in all the industries, they are thinking what will come, what is the labor code, what are the impacts of it. But now the most of the things are out except the rules part, and the role of all of us is definitely to decode these 4 codes, because 29 laws, 29 acts, then coming to only 4 codes, and then now the rules will come. So we have a bigger role as HR practitioners to decode these particular codes in a practical way, and what are the practical implications that also need to be seen. But one major shift is the earlier all the acts, there were a lot of governance, lot of compliance issues. Now that this has been made quite simpler. So only thing our role is to make it much simpler, and this has been made simpler for employers, but for workers, for them now it has become more stronger. So this is a balanced approach both for management as well as for workers, and lot of new things are coming in terms of wage, in terms of security, in terms of medical facilities to contract labor, in terms of standing orders, in terms of social securities to gig workers. So as HR professionals, as HR leaders, we have lot more to understand the subject. So we have lined up many experts from academics, from fields, and also our senior who was very active in Government of India, Dr. Panda, Tapas Panda, who was in fact actively involved in drafting the labor code when he was Deputy CLC Central. So I am very sure by the end of the day we all will have at least some idea about how we'll make use of the new labor codes, what are the intricacies, where we can, and in what all way we should proceed. With this, I am very sure all our HR groups, they will definitely make these codes to policies and practices in future time. With this, I wish all the best for this conclave. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Patnaik. Now I would like to invite Dr. Tapas Panda, to give us the chief guest address. Dr. Tapas Panda has got a very impressive CV and he has done countless sessions and has multiple experience in government and otherwise. If I were to actually take time to introduce him, it will take the better half of the day. So in interest of time, I'm just making it a short summary. He is the retired All India Service Officer of the Central Labour Service and with more than 37 years of distinguished service in labour administration and industrial relations. He retired from Government of India while holding the post of Welfare Commissioner. Academically, he is a first-class postgraduate in PMIR from Utkal University, and he also holds a degree in law. He holds a PhD in IR with research focused on the power sector in Odisha, and he was the topper in the UPSC exam for induction into CLS 1998 batch. After retirement in 2023, he served as Director General in Keaton Case University, and then he stepped down from there voluntarily to pursue consultancy in labor laws, industrial relations, and compliance management. He has been an invited speaker to XLRI, IIMs, NLU, and many other major public and private sector organizations. He has served on the Government of India committees on labor reforms, is a UGC appointed ombudsman, and a member of Board of Studies and a recipient of Bharat Gaurav Samman in 2017. Dr. Panda.
Thank you, ma'am, for that introduction. In fact, a very warm welcome to all my friends, senior dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. And it's indeed an honor and pleasure for me to address the August audience in this chilled January and to decode the myths and fogs surrounding the labor codes. Actually, the labor codes have been a part of initial labor reforms, forms register and digitization. And then when the new Wage Code came in 2019, many thought that it will never see the light of the day. It is just government's action. Then I think followed by another 3 codes in 2020, Social Security, IR, and your code on wages. Then came that the rules will never come. There is a section of people, they always said that this is never going to happen. But then rules came. Then they said this will never be implemented. Then it was implemented finally, 21st November. Then now the draft rules have come, and now we are posing the questions to each other that is it reality and what is happening around. Since I have been working on code for last 5 years, I can say day in and day out, and I have found many intricacies. But more I study these days the rules particularly, and more I go deep into the code, I feel a bit second in the sense there are so many areas which is completely new. So I'll microanalysis in micro time is something a myth itself. So but I'll try to make justice to my time allotted. So basically, if you see the growth from Indigo Commission 1860, then Factory Commission 1875, then first Factories Act, then 23, your EC Act 26, all these labor laws, Royal Commission of Labor, then first Labor Commission, second Labor Commission, all this never actually had more impact than the second National Commission of Labor, which more or less formed the basic foundation of this labor code. But again, over the years, if you see, I like to give this house a little bit of work after my deliberations, because a lot of eminent speakers are there. They like to speak the service sector specifically. I had attended one national conference in XLRI in 2008, that IR in service sector. So IR in service sector means something new concept IR. Where is IR in service sector? So this now, these things, if you see, I'll just try to focus on few things in this short time. One is service sector, vis-a-vis wage. If you see minimum wages, the scheduled employment applicability and the rate of wage notified, many of the service sectors were not covered. Central government, we had very least number of scheduled employment. Then followed by payment wages, 1936, if you see, it is applicable to industrial establishment A to G. It doesn't cover any service sector. It only had two interface. One is ATS, air traffic service. One is transmission. Then nothing in this act will be applicable, and they had that restrictions of 24,000 waste selling. So again, somebody was in comfort zone. In fact, I spoke in one of the national conferences way back 1998 that the existing level law is very employer friendly for me, because it has got 101 gray areas where employer can more exploit the law and can take advantage of it, provided if you know the law, because there are threshold, I think, in manpower, threshold in waste, threshold in this, threshold in that, and service sector was not there in Chapter 5 and not there in Chapter 5B, not in Industrial Employment Standing Order Act, not in PW Act. So many things service sector was not there. They are very comfortably ensconced and they are having a good time. Now will come the present scenario. The service sector is there because all these codes, and they don't have any specific on labor code or on anything service except one standing order. I think there are three kind of standing order: model standing order, A, mines, then manufacturing, then service. You have got, then service sector comes in with code on wages. Code on wages, I'll try to just say the very important part which I feel as a practitioner for last 30 years, and as a preacher also. I have been associated teaching for more than 35 years, and I have always gone very deep into this subject. So there are few things which I think it hurts me rather when I think rather post code impact analysis. One is the very definition of ways, I think social media, 50% hike, this and that, so many things people have told. But I think many people do not know that it has got actually many parts in the small definition. We always speak about ABC, basic DA and returning allowance. We speak about A to I. We speak about calculation for a basic. But we never speak about past three things, all remunerations. One, salary. Two, allowances. Three, expressed in terms of money, capable in terms of money and employment, where it will go. And last word is more interesting, including ways ठीक है, इसका साथ है, means salary. Think of salary. What is salary? Think of CTC, think of employee, because you have now added new dimension to the concept of all four level laws. Employee, you are talking about executives, you are talking managerial function, you are talking about GM, director, ED. Now we are talking about their payment of wages in time without unnecessary deductions. You are talking about many facilities given to them, and our government says that we have now covered around more than 45 crores people because of this. No wage selling, no industrial employment establishment, no civil employment, no rate of wages for any of this, like salt pan, like BD, like manufacture, nothing, simple ABC. Now comes my point, that when you calculate this ways, when you divide A to I, exceeds half, how many of you have calculated the share dividend given to somebody in some corporate function? How many of you given entertainment allowance, club allowance? How many of you have thought of this? Now A to I, bonus, not paid throughout the year, paid after 8 months, November. Then comes J&K. People are all including whole country J&K, because you have to add total remunerations, total, underline total. This is very important to understand. But J&K will qualify total because it is an act of end, termination. It is linked to termination, gratuity and retrenchment, linked to termination. So it will not be added in every month. So the month he is retiring, month he is terminated, then gratuity when it comes, it will be added upon. Then comes total calculation. If you really see total calculation, can you exclude the remuneration part which includes salary and allowances? You are only talking about basic and DA. Where is DA in industry? And what is the name of DA in industry? It is VDA 1, it is IDA 2, it is DA in government sector. not in everywhere. But the wording is DA. Where is BDA? Special allowance. Where is that? Where is that? Defray. How do you define defray? A to I. How do you define defray? What is the dictionary meaning of defray? Somebody told sir, washing, suit, boot, all these things, where it will come? It will come defray because you have to link with dictionary meaning. So this itself now will hurt your pocket for one, retrenchment calculation, 2, gratuity, 3, annual leave with wages. Only we are talking about wages, no, HRA. Then HRA in city fluctuating. So many components are, in fact, social security, to be very honest, ES and PF. Already we have already seen many reports in public media, social media, that IT industries have now incurred heavy losses in this quarter. Somebody is pocketing 3 industries 4,000 crores. Why I am saying, still you are giving less, projecting 4,000 rupees crore loss for 4 industries less. In my calculation, if it is properly calculated, it should be 7,000 crores. Because you have not understood the actual meaning of wage. You have not read it properly. You have not divided by 2. A to I will be never. The exceed amount will be always higher. And they have kept in such a way. The first part has been designed in such a way. For 100 years it will be higher. Why? Because the cut on social security will be high. Cut on, today is 21,000. Tomorrow it will be 40,000. Then you give the cut in very higher cut-off. That is one angle. Then again, some other contradictions. Rather one very important, which I always think I am not. I'm not in my heart of heart happy in this sense. Sending conciliation reports to government is fine. Sharing government conciliation report to employer and union fine. But then where is filter mechanism? Government to review and to refer and to decline. Some filter was there. Something government was saying, nee, this is stale, this is bakwas, this is not a valid dispute. Abhi, what is happening? You are directly showing a gate, except national importance and affecting more than one state interest. Again, there is a contradiction. In more than one state, who will be IT? The IT, every IT has its own jurisdiction. Odisha IT, Jharkhand IT, but industry having four interface, like NTPC, like VAIL, like Jindal, they have got. So in that case, if you are sending, you will send to IT. Which IT? Because Jharkhand IT will not have jurisdiction over Odisha IT. How you will send that? But you have some government. National importance, I have sent coal industry, national importance, I have sent it to Calcutta. 2 national tribunals are there. So we have made it 2 forum. One is judicial, one is administrative member. As on date, it has got 1800 cases in Calcutta for 20 years. I was CGT in charge. Now, with this directly showing the traffic to tribunal, I'll give one example. One industry having 17 unions, they will have disputes on bonus during puja, and 17 unions into 200 contractors. होता है, मैं देखा हूँ खुद होता है. तो 200 कंट्रैक्टर को 17 यूनियन बोनस के लिए डिस्प्यूट डालेंगे, कंसलेशन होगा, कोई 20 मांगेगा, nobody will agree. Then think of the scenario. This 200 contractor into 17 unions, they will go to tribunal because there is no filter mechanism. And tribunal now will be happy to have 5,000 cases. 2 members. Nobody joins, for information. Nobody joins in tribunal these days because you have given now power under trade union, IR code, provident fund, inter-union rivalry, appellant authority, ESI appellant, labor code, and direct trafficking to. This is one angle very disturbing because there is no filtering. 12.5 declining. Reference nahi hai. Then more important, I'll go to negotiating councils. Now you have got 50.5. If I'm not talking about anything which is there in social media or in your knowledge, मुझे उसमें कोई मतलब नहीं है. I'm thinking out something which you are not analyzing, or maybe many of you are analyzing. 50.5, I'm analyzing 50.5 scenario. 20% each having one membership. Then you have got 100 out of 100, 4 membership. 4 membership affiliated to 4 different ideology. I won't name, in fact, in there, in one renowned public sector, I have seen the fight, murderous attempt between two trade union rivalry, murders in broad daylight. देखा हूं मैंने. Now ये 4 लोग आप बैठाएंगे कहाँ? नेगोशिएटिंग काउंसिल में बैठाएंगे. एक का मुंह किधर? अगरतला, दूसरा का मुंह किधर? गुजरात, तीसरा का कश्मीर, चौथा कन्याकुमारी. बैठाएंगे किधर? नेगोशिएटिंग काउंसिल में. वाह, फिर क्या करेंगे? नेगोशिएशन होगा. And आप नेगोशिएशन करोगे LTS. Now there shall be negotiating union, negotiating council. There shall be mandatory. And there is no distinction for information. No ceiling of manpower on IR code. Please remember, 7 members campaign. 10% is enough. Now, with this, time is there. I can, with this is 10 minutes. This is what happens when you call expert and give this 10 minutes. And well, I'll try to cover, because it is not my loss, it is loss of the audience not to hear me, because I had so many things in my mind where I would have thrown open for your deliberations. Then that is, after negotiating council, you have got another thing, is your standing order. Why it is for 300? Why it is for 300? Why it is not for 50? What about the standing order for contract labor? What about standing order for contractor? And GRC, you have given GRC a fantastic interface. Individual dispute, service condition, 2K S12 will now come through channelized. ठीक है, अब GRC के through जाएंगे. You have given a lifeline to dispute 2 साल, ठीक है. GRC में 1 साल आएगा, ठीक है. But what I am saying, why again asking a union can raise a dispute 662? Strike, along with strike. What is this fun? Once you are blocking individual dispute, and this individual dispute, why I am saying, no, how you are going to handle it in case of contract labor individual dispute, retrenchment, chart of demand, how you will fit it. We are not talking about regular workman, we are talking about contract labor. Now chart of demand, job analysis of workers working. This is a very important area. Why GRC is a fantastic forum, beautiful. The best thing in this is GRC. Works committee, government to notify. Why to government notify? And government has not notified in first 1947 Act. Government notified works committee in 1956. Only 7 industry. Never added till 25. Never added. So now WC, GRC, 2 different interface. Mandatory, then cancellation direct goes to tribunal. Wonderful. And most important, then I'll conclude here again through. You have now no certificate of undertaking given to contractor for obtaining license. Registration, the word is employer. Contractor will register as employer. What is employer? Then section 6, what is employer? Section 23, 24, what is employer? Employer includes principal employer in this context. Section 45, contract labor. Section 55, principal employer. 55, 57, principal employer. Then principal employer shall reimburse bonus rule, PW rule. To whom? To employee. Then most important, within 2 days of termination you have to pay. Within 2 days of termination, please remember, includes dismissal, discharge, retrenchment. Do we conclude a dismissal in 2 days? Do we conclude retrenchment without giving him a notice period? Don't know. How can you pay in 2 days? Whether it is adjudicated legal or illegal, how can you pay in 2 days? How can you? And all these things, clauses are there in standing order. You will face 2 music. One is prosecution of law under the code on wages for not paying in time. Then in standing order for defying standing order. Penalty is very heavy. So certificate of undertaking is not there. Contractor will go to apply for license, whether it is prohibited category or not.
Nothing is given new. Essential wording is bhai of incidental, section 10(2). So they are very surreptitiously inserted prohibited wording in core. Non-core described, ठीक है, बढ़िया है, non-core बढ़िया लिखा है. So I am now talking about the core, essential. Read with, the contractor will apply for license directly. There is no certificate of undertaking. There is no certificate. So that is how registration. He will do the registration. Then payment. Second love letter. Then payment. Payment part is again very interesting. Government will release the payment when contractor fails. बार बार लिखा गया है. बार बार लिखा गया है. Then what happens? At the end of the work, particularly contractor, subcontractor in construction industry, भाग जाता है. In that case, what will happen? Principal employer has a luxury that आप गवर्नमेंट को सिक्योरिटी डिपॉजिट से पेमेंट करो. लेकिन रूल में लिखा गया है प्रिंसिपल एम्प्लॉयर विल पे. मेन लॉ में है गवर्नमेंट विल पे. बढ़िया बढ़िया कन्फ्रंट. So these are many things. OT for employee in code of wages. OT for employee, overtime. The wording is employee. OT for worker in OSH. ये क्या है? So these are so many. In fact, I had gone somewhere and I had been given the whole day for 7 hours for 2 code. But I started with IR code, I ended with IR code for 6 hours and 50 minutes. 45 minutes I could speak on code on wages. And everybody said we never knew, because I could have analyzed the impact with practical experience of the culture of trade union. Now service sector will be part of this culture. Service sector will face the music, employees grievance particularly. How you are prepared to handle employees grievance? Who will be handling it? How LEO will take up the complaint? How you will go to labor office for handling? The approved government, there is again some confusion. Factory, where it is located under OSH code. Factory, where it is located. Again, if you see OSH code, part 1, approved government does not include IT industry. Part 2 does not include IT industry. Where it is then? I have studied the All India rules, and it is more of a copy paste. And a lot of things are there spread over under code basis, how different kind of working pattern are there, whether it is actually 12 hours or it is 16 hours, how it can be exploited to 16 hours, what you can do to your industry will be benefited from this. There should be proper focus on that. Thank you, thank you, thank you again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Panda. And I'm sorry that we couldn't give you more time.
It's not my loss. I'm very clear.
I would request Dr. C. Jayakumar now to come and give the keynote address. He is the Executive VP and CHRO L&T, and he leads the HR function of multinational conglomerate with diversified interests in infrastructure, heavy engineering, manufacturing, IT, technology, and financial services. With over 37 years of HR experience, Dr. Jayakumar has a PhD in leadership and a senior executive program from London Business School. His core competencies include planning, designing, implementing, and managing various strategic HR initiatives across the organizations, such as talent acquisition, talent management, HR policies, digital transformation, and organizational development. He has also headed the HR function of various businesses, independent companies, and joint ventures with L&T Group, including leadership roles in Middle East and Africa region. Dr. Jayakumar is passionate about creating a culture of excellence, innovation, and diversity, and empowering people to achieve their full potential. He is a thought leader and a widely acclaimed speaker in various national and international conferences and forums, and he is also the national president of NHRD. Dr. Jayakumar.
Thank you, madam. Good morning to everybody. Thank you, Centurion University, for inviting me for this. I have a 2 role. One is as a CHRO for Larsen & Toubro for this conference and as a role as an president of NHRD for as we are going to inaugurate a student chapter here. Thank you, Panish, for inviting me. More than that, Professor Sweta, for the last 6 months, she has been continuously sending messages to me. When are you coming to our university? So, yeah, I have 15 minutes. 10 minutes will spend on labor code. I saw all the experts here. So all the studious students, listen to them. Who use PPTs and thing to pass, listen to me, okay? So I'll give so many consultants used to come and present me regarding the impact of labor wages, how we should manage labor codes, etc. So before coming, I used a couple of presentations. I used Google Notebook LLM. I just uploaded there in my PC and said I'm speaking in Centurion University. Give me a 3,000 feet overview broadly about the 4 labor codes. Then I also gave the prompt that don't look at it from an employer perspective, look at it from a nation's perspective, how it is going to affect. So that is the way I am looking at it. When we look at it totally through a different lens, what impact it happens. So, yeah, let me. Yeah. Very simple. 29 labor codes, all combined into simple 4. Biggest advantage, as Mr. Tapas was talking about, single definitions across. We don't have to look at multiple definitions of wage, what is workman, what is employee, and etc. Second, the bigger initiative, the vision of ease of doing business in India. So when you look at, there is only 4 codes you have to follow: single license system, ease of implementation. There are a lot of unorganized gig workers, the Swiggy, Zomato, so many people have come in. So how do you handle those people? So this also looked into those aspects. So predominantly I see it in 4 buckets: simplification, digitalization in the entire returns, everything is going to be online, so it becomes very simple. And it focuses on universality, that is PF, ESI, and social security, and formalization. So there are 4 pillars, which is talking about code of wages, social security, industrial relations, and OHS, safety, etc. You'll be going through this in detail by the experts. Each code, there is a session there, so you can listen there to understand. So coming to what is there for the industry, ease of compliance. So you need not look at so many things. There is a simple way of getting a one license across, etc. Flexibility. Earlier we are talking about fixed. I will share this PPT. Please don't take photographs. So it is flexibility, even fixed term contract, everybody is included, and even gratuity is for them for even for 1 year. And next is transparency, web-based approach. For workforce, there's a speed, protection in terms of one single UN number, etc. So coming to the employer, what is gone is, we had gratuity, provident fund on basic. Most of the companies had 20-25% was the basic, some had 30, some software companies had around 40%. Now it have brought the definition of wage, it has become 50%. Okay, your ESOPs or any stock-based thing and variable pay is kept out of the whole thing. And the balance thing is divided into 50%, 50%. 50% becomes included, and another is inclusion and exclusion. So a company like L&T, 80 years, I have completed 37 years in the company. And average, if you see, most of them are 15 years, 20 years. So if your basic was 25%, suddenly it becomes 50. Gratuity is paid on the last round wages, right? So suddenly you not only pay now, for the last 37 years you have to pay. Same way leave encashment, for the last 37 years you have to pay. That's where the big impact comes for the employer. So that's again the RBI and people have said that you have to give the provision in this quarter. That is where Infosys, every company has been showing the impact. Though even though they restructure, that impact is high. Next important thing is, yes, as I told, it is good for all the other type of workmen and including gig workers, etc. And traditionally, you are talking about another thing is people are taking fixed term employment after 1 year, 2 year, they get, pardon? Fixed 1 year, 2 year employment, the gratuity was not there, they were waiting for 5 years. Now it starts within the 1 year also, the gratuity is being paid. So finally coming to the employer, what we do, Mr. Israel Inbaraj is here, he does, I think you would have done more than 50 webinars in the last couple of months. So all the employer are worried about only this one slide, important slide, which is what is my financial impact? How do I look at the compensation and restructure the compensation? And there are certain things like giving appointment letter for fixed term employees and contract workers, etc. Then how do I change my systems? I have a payroll system, etc. I have to do this and then communicate to the employee. Sometimes if your take home may come down, but generally take home, only if you include PF, the take home will come down. Generally people not doing is keeping the basic same, but wages is used for gratuity. So PF, there's a coverage of 15,000, so they continue the same PF. So this is what is happening. So only the provision has been taken, but definitely for the past years it is put, it hits the P&L. That's why there is the lot of thing. So this is broadly about wage code. Now you can go into each of the wage code in detail. People will talk about, so you can listen to me. If you want to just pass the exam, use this PPT. If you want to become an expert, listen to these people. Okay? Thank you. So now let me move to NHRD as National. Yeah, you just put the one slide, one. Yeah, that's enough. Yeah, if you can make it big. Bas. I have taken over as the National President of NHRD. We have a 2-year agenda. We would like to focus on broadly 3 areas. First is the capability building. Capability building in terms of HR competency framework. How do you define the HR competencies? We have L&T Scape, which was lot of effort has gone inside. We have a competency for different compensation, talent acquisition, learning and development. Each areas we have identified a set of competencies, behavioral indicators. We have done a set of assessment centers, including in-tray, etc., for assessing this to identify the gap. And based on that, there are training programs. We are re-looking at the entire competency framework. We are tied up with AHRD and other institutes to develop curriculums based on that, so that we focus on the HR competency framework. That is one area. Next is, this year is the Uday Parikh's centenary celebration. Lot of work, the whole 1-year program is happening. 21st is that we are releasing as a function there at Delhi. We have invited Mr. Somnath from ISRO for inaugurating that, because he is a great institution builder, and year-long programs are there. We have also initiated the award for Uday Parikh Scholar and people who have done, and for institution builders, which has been decided and which will be doing it. Next is, we focus is on connections and communication. We have more than 60 chapters across, and each chapter, sometimes same thing gets repeated in different places. How do you bring in collaboration and communication in between chapters so that we do not duplicate our effort and let us work on a common theme and we can divide it between the chapters. We are also reviving we have a, in terms of capability building, we are looking at the journal. We are re-looking at it, bringing it in more frequency, the NHRD journal, as well as we are reviving the podcast, which will be, the first podcast will be released on the 21st and the first podcast I have requested Mr. T.V. Rao to speak about Uday Parekh, and we have brought in a new jingle tone for the podcast, and we want to relaunch it. And each chapter, if they have something to contribute, I'm happy that the chapters can contribute to that. Second thing is in the third area is on digital transformation, one NHRD, one website, where we have connection between the entire 25,000 HR professionals. There are so much of student chapters are there. We are trying to relook at the website, also bring in a platform where the student chapter can log in. We can also look at many of the startups are there in terms of learning and development. They are ready to bring in their courses into the program. Even at once it matures, we can even look at opening it up for the employees for placement also. So it will be a platform where the entire student community as well as, and once, I don't want the student chapter after 18 months, we lose track of them, so that each of the student who is there should become a member of the NHRD. So three broad areas, we didn't want to take up too many things: capability building, connection and communication, and digital transformation. These are the three broad agendas for NHRD. We'll be happy to launch the student chapter here. Once again, thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much. Thank you. I saved 4 minutes.
Thank you, Dr. Jayakumar. For the closing address of the inaugural session, I would like to invite Dr. Panish Rao. The entire idea, as Bobby has already mentioned, germinated from him. And he is a seasoned executive with over 3 decades of cross-industry leadership. And he is a transformational HR leader, ESG champion, and purpose-driven board advisor. He started his professional journey with VIP Industries and went on to become Chief People's Officer in Aditya Birla Minax, and later on as Chief People's Officer at L&T Technology Services, then at Mindtree, and lastly at LTI Mindtree as Chief Sustainability Officer. His present engagements include Professor of Practice at Wellinger Institute of Management and advisor and board member at Centurion University. He is also in the board of various other organizations, and he has been the winner of multiple awards. In fact, the list was very, very long, and accolades and honors. So I would just only read out a few awards. He won the Great Indian ESG Icon, CPO of the Year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
You know, she's going to take 4 minutes out of the 5 minutes that I've been given. Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dignitaries on the dais, dignitaries off the dais, teaching and non-teaching staff from the university, dear students. You know, Bobby mentioned about BP going high of people in her address. And one thing she didn't mention, because of which the BP goes high of people, is the compensation and benefits. Irrespective of whatever the code may say, at the end of it, it's all about money. Money for you, money for me. Secondly, I don't want to take any credit for inviting CJK. CJK has been a very dear colleague. For those who don't know, he and I worked for about 10 years till I was there in L&T. And after that, he's been a good friend. And I think he invited himself for the passion that he carries for the HR. And also being part of the, also being the national president of NHRD, I think he invites himself to this. Thank you very much, CJK, for being here. I actually belong to an era when I must say that labor law was neglected. Neglected probably is a very soft word to use. I would say it was disregarded. We didn't care a hoot about the labor law. And then I belong to the industry where labor law was not applicable at all. That was in 1998, I moved to the IT, and we didn't have to bother about the labor law at all because we were doing far superior to whatever the law said. Like I said, money matters, and I'm least qualified to talk about labor law and labor code because I never had to refer to it ever in my life, to be honest. And I had taken help to make a 3-page speech to talk today, but since everybody has spoken more than what I could speak, and most of it is already covered, I'll tell you a story. I was with a group, and I will deliberately not tell you which group. It's based out of Bombay. It's surely not L&T, yeah, just to make sure. And I was a young boy, just out of college, 9 months out of college. And my boss calls me and says there's a vacancy in Nagpur as a head of the HR for, in those days it wasn't HR, it was personal and administration. Head of personal and administration in a factory in Nagpur. We want you to go there. I said, 9 months out of college, you want me to go and head the personal function in a factory? What is the catch there? And he said, the person before you has been beaten up by the union, his skull is broken, nobody wants to take that position, we thought you would. And I was a young boy of 25 years and hot-blooded, and I said, ye kya hai? I was already feeling like Amitabh Bachchan, and I said, I will go and take care of it, no problem. I went there, and of course there were some 75 court cases happening, and workers those who were terminated from employment after inquiry and stuff like that, they used to follow me to the court and back to the factory, threatening me sometimes on the way, threatening me inside the court. Whatever you see in movies was happening then, believe me. And Dr. Panda talked about murders and killings and stuff like that. This is the era that I came up from, and Dr. Samant was the biggest union leader in those days. It was, honestly, I would say, that the management believed in spending money unethically than spending money ethically for the benefit of the workers. That was the era. I remember one policeman used to come for a beat every day to the factory. We had actually bribed him to come every day to the factory to take a round and just tell the workers that, here I am to protect the management, dare you do anything. And he used to come and take, and now I probably will reveal to you, we used to make Hot Wheel cars. Yeah, there's a company I used to work for. Hot Wheel cars, Barbie dolls. And every day he would come and pick up a new toy from the factory and say, I'm taking it, and I had to make the gate pass for him. One day I was in a bad mood. I said, what do you think of yourself? Every day you take toys. So he said to me that, do you know what my salary is? And he said, it's 2,000 rupees. The police department has given me a bike but hasn't given me money for the petrol. You call me at 2 o'clock in the midnight and I come for you. You call me whenever you feel like to protect you and I'm there for you. What goes of you if I take a toy? He says, my children also want to go for a movie. They also need to be educated in a good school, blah, blah, blah. It basically meant to say that, I don't earn enough to take care of myself. I think if all these changes have to work, I think we need to have a very, very honest set of people, administering it. How much have we heard of, problems in withdrawal of Provident Fund? How much have we heard of ESIC hospitals? And I think, all this is fine, provided we also have a good setup to take care of these things. Like I said, I come from the IT industry, and I remember when I joined L&T, and excuse me CJK for saying this, I joined L&T Technology Services. The comm structure had about 25 items in it. And with the kind of attrition that we had every quarter, there will be at least about 15–16% of the people coming to me and asking me, look, this is what my comm says on paper, but actually I got so much, where did the money go? It was extremely complex, difficult to understand, and we simplified it to just base salary, allowances, variable pay, and long-term incentive. Right? And I hope that we create a comp structure that is like in the US, where we have just one base and one statutory compensation. Then we don't need any labor code. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to take this opportunity to thank the organizers, NHRD Bhubaneswar chapter. Bobby, thank you so much for bringing this crucial conversation together. To our speakers and panelists who will be decoding the legal jargons into accountable insight, to our sponsors for being generous, to our host Centurion University of Technology and Management, hoping this event runs more smoothly than most compliance calendars, and to our audience for assembling and staying engaged. I hope that our speakers will leave us today well informed, energized, and ready to make the new labor law, labor codes, not just a legal reform, but a workplace transformation. Thank you all, and God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. And with this, we come to an end of the inaugural session. I would like to request Professor Dr. Supriya Patnaik, who is the VC of Centurion University, to adorn our guests with the Uttariyas. And also I would like to request Dr. Alok Pal, Director HR OMC, and also a core NHRD member, to give away the mementos on behalf of NHRD. Ma'am, please. Thank you all. With this, we would like to break for tea, and the tea break is for 15 minutes. Tea is served just outside. Please join us for tea. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you. Thank you so much. ଆପଣଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ନିହାତି ପୁଣି ଦେଖା ହେବ. Thank you so much.
Sorry.
Sir, absolutely sorry.
କିଛି ଅସୁବିଧା ନାହିଁ ଏଇଟା ବହୁତ ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ ପଏଣ୍ଟ ଛାଡ଼ିଦେଲେ ଖାଲି କହିଦେବେ prosecution to be filed by trade union that is not a good
sir,
thing
ସେମିତି ନୁହଁ. ଆମେ
ଦୁଇଟା
ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ
ଶୁଣିଯାଆନ୍ତୁ
ଡାକିବୁ
ଗୋଟେ
ପୁରା
prosecution to be
ସେସନ
filed
ଆପଣ ନେବେ
full
ଆମକୁ
time
ଶିଖେଇବେ.
ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ହେଉଛି ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଫିକ୍ସ ଟର୍ମ ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ ଇଜ୍ ଏ ମିଥ୍ କାହିଁ କହିଲେ କୁହନ୍ତୁ କାହିଁକି
ନାଇଁ ମୁଁ ଜାଣିଛି.
ଆନାଲିସିସ୍ କରିପାରିଲି ଦୁଇଟା ଜିନିଷ ଦୁଇଟା ମୋ ରିଜନ୍ ହେଉଛି ୟୁ ଆର୍ ପେଇଂ ହିମ୍ giving him service condition equivalent to permanent worker ହେଲା permanent worker ଲକ୍ଷ ଟଙ୍କା ହେଲା ଆପଣ ଫିକ୍ସ ଟର୍ମ ତାକୁ ଲକ୍ଷ ଟଙ୍କା ରଖିଲେ ଲାଭ ହେଲା ଆପଣ କିନ୍ତୁ 2000 ଯେତେବେଳେ ନେବେ ନନ୍ ରିନ୍ୟୁଏବଲ୍ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରାକ୍ଟ ପେ ମିନିମମ୍ ଗ୍ରେଟ୍ 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 ବ୍ରଦର ଜିନ୍ଦାବାଦ ନେଭର गिव अप ସବାଇ
नमस्कार
Santanu is one of the bestest friends. We have traveled together from university till now. The more classmates से ऊपर हुए.
very close graduate to OMC at that time graduate to OMC I think
ଭଲ ଲାଗିଲା. But I missed two vital points. One is FT.
till launch
FT
I
fixed
would
term
like to
employment. I'm not in favor of FT. Why no?
that reputation yes
Giving equivalent to permanent. But non-renewable contract to 00BB is very important. That part you can exploit that against FT. 00BB. Retrenchment is not there. Non-renewable contract. So non-renewable contract में there is no service concern attached. तो आप इधर 1 लाख रुपया देंगे, वहाँ मिनिमम देंगे, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में रख लेंगे. Which one is better? So FT is a myth. ये इंडिया का सबसे बड़ा बकवास FT है.
Sir, please.
madam आपने भी चिढ़ाई है
हाँ, Tina is already there. I am already there.
Actually, we should have made that the background. So that the background करके photo नहीं उठेगा अट्ला. Made that NHRD conclave background. That is the better one. This is
give that background मैंने रेड backdrop टा दे दिया
same background.
से टिके फोटोटा निज्यू शेयर करो ये
the wherewithal of any professional body and more so of National HRD Network, who has always believed in the fact that the students are the ones who will take the entire knowledge and implementation piece forward. One of the key philosophies of National HRD Network has been to incubate student chapters in academic institutions, to foster them, to ensure we generate more enthusiasm in them for the HR profession. I'm glad today that CGK is here with us to inaugurate nothing less than the NHRDN student chapter of CUTM. We would have ideally done this in the evening, but we wanted CGK to inaugurate the student chapter before he left, and hence we are preponing it. While we have more than 60 members CGK for the student chapter, in the interest of time, we're just going to invite 5 representatives from the student chapter who can come here and we can do a formal launch of the chapter. I request CGK to kindly come on stage and formally launch the student chapter and give away the NHRDN badge to these 5 people. Please, CGK.
Also, may I request the VC of CUTM, Dr. Supriya Patnaik, to be there on the stage. These are our student chapter members. Be here. Be here. No, he's gone for campus tour. I would also request Shweta ma'am to be there on the stage because she is a pivotal part of this whole effort.
We have. Yes. Where is Lipsa?
Lipsa, please come up on stage.
Come here. You're the person behind this.
Lipsa Mohanty, our chapter coordinator and a core member of NHRD, has been one of the core persons to have brought to light this day.
Thank you. Can I request 5 representatives to kindly come on stage and CJK to give them the
ये थी लैब हमने लिखा है जी पांच जन नहीं स्टूडेंट्स में स्टूडेंट्स
Welcome to the chapter.
Students, please be near the stage for a group picture in the end. Requesting all the student members to be there on the stage for a group pic, and all our NHRD members also. Lipsa, Padmalaya, Ashirwad, Sitanshu, Sanju, Namita, Isha. Thank you everyone, and also thanking Dr. P.K. Sahu and Dr. Arun Sasi a lot for the patience. Now we'll start our technical session. Yeah. In HR, change is constant, and labor laws are our longest running relationship. Just when we memorize our set of rules, a new syllabus arrives. And now we're going to talk about the one thing that keeps us going back to work other than the free coffee, and that is the code on wages. The new labor codes promise simplification. So now let us find out how simple simplification is. We have with us Dr. Arun Sasi and Dr. P.K. Sahu. Dr. Arun Sasi is a labor law specialist and contract management expert with 2 decades of blended industry, consulting and academic experience across India and international jurisdictions. He holds a PhD in labor laws and an LLM from the University of Glasgow. Having done litigation and arbitration earlier, he now gives legal consultancy in India and abroad, and he is also a guide to many PhD students. Welcome, Dr. Sasi. We also have with us Dr. P.K. Sahu. He is a distinguished HR leader, academic, and thought influencer with over 3 decades of strategic HR and IR experience at SAIL, where he served in senior roles like GM, and a passionate advocate of ethics and fairness in management. He believes that people alone create enduring organization success, and HR leaders are the true architects of capability and culture. He conceptualized and introduced the National Award for Best HR Practices, a pioneering initiative that inspires corporates to excel in people management. Currently a National Council member of ISTD and former National General Secretary of NIPM, he teaches at IMI Delhi, and also he has taught at XIM and Geetam. He is recipient of the Jawahar Award for SAIL, Rashtriya Gaurav, Mother Teresa Excellence, SBM Gold Medal Awards for Excellence in HR and Management areas from different organizations. He has been invited to many conferences in India and abroad. Let us start the session. Welcome both of you.
Thank you very much, Kavita. So I will just start off. Bopi madam spoke about...
Requesting others to please switch off their mobile or keep it in silent mode.
See? Yes. Bopi madam spoke about rising BP. It was in 2019, which was a very unkind year as far as HR managers are concerned. So as an HR teacher and as an HR consultant, I saw how BP rose in 2019. In February, we got, Supreme Court gave us the decision of Vivekananda Vidya Mandir versus Employees Provident Fund Organization, interpreting the definition of basic wages. So every HR managers in this country, across the country, were scrambling to actually restructure wages to be in compliance with the decision of the Supreme Court. And while they thought they are done, in November we got the code on wages, which completely shifted the paradigm. The difference is so huge that every aspect of the HR vertical, right from recruitment to full and final, vendor management, compensation, social security, every aspect had to be recalibrated in the light of the code on wages. So what is the code? See, considering all the other labor codes, other codes like OSH code, codes like social security, the industrial relations code, the number of changes which is there in the code on wages is a little bit less, numerically less. But the impact is very, very profound. And it is actually lost on many of the HR managers. They are really worried about what happens with IR. As far as code on wages is concerned, they're just worried about one definition, which is the definition of wages. What is the definition of wages? But the impact is actually very profound and huge. I believe, Professor Dr. Sahu will agree with me. Now, let me just start with in this backdrop, we will study and understand what is code on wages all about and what are the different changes. At the very outset itself, Kavita has told me that she will give me a timeout in 30 minutes. So I will try to fix our discussions into that timing. Total 30 minutes. Okay. So let us start. The most important change is not the definition of wages, but rather the applicability provisions envisaged of the code on wages. So before that, for people who are new to the code, let me just tell you what the code on wages is. Code on wages subsumes 4 statutes, 4 standalone statutes. One is the Equal Remunerations Act 1976. Okay, it is subsumed under Section 3. What we have to understand when a few dignitaries spoke, they said they didn't know that labor law did not exist in their establishment. Yes, surprisingly, yes, labor law existed, but it was not implemented, and that is the tale of Equal Remunerations Act 1976. Remunerations Act 1976 strike at that very disparity that exists between sexes. So under the code on wages, what has changed with regards to Equal Remunerations Act 1976 is, in the backdrop of the Transgenders Protection Act of 2019, the disparity between sexes has been changed to disparity between gender. So disparity between male and female has been changed to disparity between gender. So the third gender has also been brought into the ambit of Section 3, the code on wages. But I really hope that it does not have the same fate as that of the Equal Remunerations Act 1976. The next one is the Payment of Wages Act 1936, which I believe is the most impactful change. Payment of Wages Act 1936, the applicability of Payment of Wages Act 1936 was, one second, so sorry. It was only applicable to factories and mines, unless otherwise notified to shops and establishments. And it was only applicable to those employees who draw wages of rupees 24,000 or less. But under the code on wages, there is no such limit. See, the code on wages speaks about, one second. Right. Yes. Okay, see, the Payment of Wages Act spoke about 3 things: how to pay wages, when to pay wages, and what are the allowed deductions from wages. You have to understand that as far as executive compensation is concerned, see, how many of your establishments, many of your HR managers, how many of your establishments you actually bother about employees who are working for less than 24,000? Most of our employees who draw wages of rupees 24,000 or more, and they were within the regulatory regime of individual shops and establishments mostly, and sometimes unregulated too. What the code on wages has done is this: the statutory threshold of 24,000 has been done away with. Now there is no statutory threshold. That means this: how to pay wages, when to pay wages, and what are the allowed deductions to wages is universally applicable to every single employee, starting from senior management to your lowliest of staff. Every single employee who is in your payroll will have, it will be a universal, it has universal applicability. And also remember this: code on wages, unlike the code on social security, does not have a statutory threshold for its applicability. That is, there is no 10 or more employees. Everywhere, in case if there is an employer-employee relationship exists, the code on wages is applicable. So that means small-scale industries, startups, large organizations, irrespective of what is the nature of your organization, what kind of numbers you have, irrespective of that, code on wages will be applicable. And how HR has to calibrate, how payroll has to be calibrated, Dr. Sahu will be talking in detail. But from a legal standpoint, it will be universally applicable to every employee in your establishment. The next one is minimum wages legislation. Minimum wages legislation. As far as applicability is concerned, we'll discuss a little bit about national floor minimum, etc., in case of the time permits. But when it comes to applicability, minimum wages legislation, the scheduled employment, the Minimum Wages Act was only applicable to scheduled employment. Now, there is no concept of scheduled employment. It will be universally be applicable to every employee who comes within the fold of employer-employee relationship in that particular establishment. Similarly, when it comes to payment of bonus, here it becomes a little bit tricky. I will introduce a couple of definitions which could sound a little bit draconian. The first is this: payment of bonus. Under the Payment of Bonus Act, there was a central legislation, which is called the Payment of Bonus Act. And the ceiling was established under the Payment of Bonus Act. The current ceiling is only those employees who draw 21,000 or less. So I'll just tell you, for those people who are new to labor laws, I'll just tell you what is Payment of Bonus Act all about. See, Payment of Bonus Act is basically a profit sharing legislation which ensures that a certain amount of profit is shared with your employees. And the statutory threshold which was envisaged under the Payment of Bonus Act was 21,000. Now, most of the labor entries, this is for students, most of the labor entries fall in the concurrent list. So there are both central and state labor legislations probably on the same subject matter. Okay, so what happens is this: in case of, let us say, Payment of Bonus Act, there's a central statute. The central statute has declared that 21,000 shall be the wage threshold. Now, the appropriate government is the government who has administrative right over that particular legislation. The appropriate government concept is this: appropriate government under the Payment of Bonus Act, pari materia takes it from the Industrial Disputes Act, which says this: every controlled industry is another segment which is which constitute a large pool of industries. Every controlled industry come within the fold of Payment of Bonus Act, and for that reason, bonus was pretty much, and since it was it was in the central sphere, and the legislation also existed, the threshold was 21,000 across India. But under the Code on Wages, what happens is this: the responsibility of, the definition of appropriate government has shifted, and most of, apart from air transport services, telecommunication services, railway services, and central government PSUs, etc., most of the establishments comes within the state sphere. And since most of the establishment comes within the state sphere, bonus, and the Code on Wages says this: the threshold shall be declared by the appropriate government. So once again, the appropriate government has been given the right to declare the bonus ceiling, and appropriate government for most of the establishment, IT sector, you take any establishment other than very few like telecommunications or railways, most of the establishments is the state government. So that means this: depending upon, unless otherwise all the state governments come in unison and say that this is going to be the ceiling, the bonus rates are going to change by state. So sitting in Bangalore, even let's say if you have a centralized payroll, sitting in Bangalore, you will have to figure out the bonus rates. Okay, what is happening in Maharashtra or Assam or West Bengal, the bonuses are likely to be different. Sir, am I right? I hope I'm right in this. So how you have to recalibrate your payroll with regard to that, Dr. Sahu will be speaking in detail. Yes, and also I have also my teacher. I have attended his webinar, Dr. Israel Inbaraj. He will also be talking about in detail. So the applicability, again, to stress further, the applicability has fundamentally changed. Even though the sections of Payment of Wages Act, you will find it verbatim pretty much with minor changes under the Code on Wages. Similarly, Payment of Bonus system, the architecture of Payment of Bonus, most of the provisions were pertaining to minimum wages law, as well as the Equal Remunerations Act, you will find that in the Code on Wages. Just because the applicability has become universal, the impact of these legislations are going to be much more profound. That means that your headache as HR managers are going to increase when it comes to these parts of compliances. Now, because of the paucity of time, I would have wanted to further elucidate, but because of the paucity of time, I want to, just deal with one more important change, because I get this question a lot. How about the definition of employees? There is only one critical definition. Now, every employee, every employer-employee relationship that you have in your establishment will come within the fold of an employee. But there is one critical change. The critical change is this. In case of non-statutory apprentices, earlier under the previous law, both statutory and non-statutory apprentices were exempted from the definition of an employee. Under the new code, only the statutory apprentices under the apprenticeship, registered under the Apprenticeship Act 1961 is exempted. So that means this, all the trainees, all the apprentices who have come to your establishment through the standing orders or through other contracts will be employees, and you will have to take care of their compliances as well. So these questions I get regularly, sir, what about our trainees, what about our non-statutory apprentices? Yes, as far as code on wages is concerned, and for as to that matter, every other labor code is concerned, the only exception is the apprentices registered under the Apprenticeship Act 1961, and there are no other exceptions to the definition of employees. Now comes, the elephant in the room, the definition of wages. This is basically, one dignitary who spoke about the diminishing profits of an organization, and this is one in IT companies last month's, September month's payslip. I have just blurred the important details. You can see that, look, you can see Provident Fund was on the basic, professional tax, you can see all those things. For every aspect, I'll just tell you, I've just written down the before and after. Okay. This is before and after. As far as EPF is concerned, again, in case of students in the back don't understand what is Employees Provident Fund, it's a contributory social security scheme. And the statutory requirement is 12% of 15,000 and not more. Okay, so as far as EPF is concerned, from a statutory standpoint for this company, it is not increasing at all, because it is 14. It was basic. EPF was on 14,500. Now it will be on 15,000. There is not much of a difference, but you can see the gratuity component is rising by around 400%, not 10 or 20%, 400 to 500%. This is even more for other companies. I did not take that, so that this is a simple payslip. That is the reason why I took this payslip. Maternity benefit is going to come down. I will see how it is going to come down, but maternity benefit is going to come down. As far as leave encashments are concerned, overtime wages are concerned, not overtime allowances, overtime wages are concerned, there is going to be a 400 to 500% increase. So when somebody spoke that there are we are going to suffer losses to the tune in Q3 1,200, 2,500 crores, it is not an exaggeration, which is true. The gratuity payout is going to be humongous, huge. There is going to be huge difference with regards to gratuity and other social security payouts. Now let us look at the definition, sir. Okay, all right. Now, this is the definition, and Tapas sir is here, and he might, further shed light on this. This is one definition which I believe is going to attract so many litigations, primarily because it is riddled by many problems. Okay, it can be subjected to multiple interpretations, different tools and rules of interpretation. In case if there are law students, different tools and rules of interpretations can be used to give different meanings to this particular definition. So I will just tell you, based on the FAQ of the Ministry of Labor and based on the numerous webinars, I will tell you that I attended. I will tell you what is the common understanding of this particular definition. I will also tell you a different interpretation, not to confuse you, but just wanted to tell you that that could also be one interpretation. The basic interpretation of this definition. This definition, mind you, is actually common for all the labor codes, including code on wages, social security code, the industrial relations code, as well as the OSH code. The definition of wages is the same. The numbers might change. That is the section numbers might change. It could be 2Y, it could be 2ZL, but the definition is the same. The definition primarily is divided into 4 parts. Okay, first is an inclusive part, Second, there are 11 exceptions. Then there is a proviso, and then there is, then there is a proviso, and then there is an exception. Then there is, it further goes on and decides equal remunerations wages, but then this is the most important sections that we are going to discuss. If you look at the first part, it means all remunerations by way of salaries, allowances, or otherwise be payable to any person employed in respect of his employment or work done. It might be in respect of his employment, he might have worked for you, or he might be in your service, and for that reason, you are remunerating him. Now, this is something which lot of concern. I was last month, I was attending another webinar in which one critical question was asked. See, for EPF wage interpretation, there was one test that was provided by the Supreme Court, which is in case if one particular remuneration. See, if I'm throwing at you a lot of information, just stop me because for the positive time, I'm just discussing it succinctly. So this is a very important thing because right now, as we see it, most of you, when you're calculating EPF wages, you will be looking at one particular formula called the UON formula. I have been told. Okay. All right. The UON formula. That is, in case if it is universally, ordinarily, and necessarily paid. For instance, if it is universally paid, or ordinarily paid, or necessarily paid to an employee, that would come within the ambit of basic wages under Section 2P of the Employees Provident Fund Act. Now, there have been many, many decisions. Bridge and Roos, Surya Roshni, Vivekananda Vidya Mandir, in which the Supreme Court and different high courts have deliberated on what constitutes basic wages. Now, the critical question is this: should we rely on that particular, jurisprudence actually that was said by the Supreme Court to understand what is remuneration under, the inclusion parts? No. See, what we have to understand is this: this is a new definition. Okay, this was given to by the webinar that was hosted by one of the one very established consulting house told me that has to be used to interpret this definition as well. But I don't agree because this is a new definition. And as far as the new definition is concerned, the architecture is new. Everything as far as this definition is new. So you don't have to rely on the previous any decision that has been given prior to 2019 on any other labor codes, be it Code on Social Security or be it Employees Provident Fund law, be it Employees Compensation law. No, it does not matter. You have to look at this definition afresh to understand what will be an inclusion and what will be an exclusion under as far as the wages is concerned. Now, just to tell you, the first part is an inclusion part. Everything that you can possibly imagine, whatever you are paying your employee would fall under the definition of wages because you're remunerating him either for the work done or because he's your employee. So in case of ESOPs, in case if it's vested ESOPs, yes. If it has to be monetarily expressed in the form of money. In case if it is not vested, it cannot be monetarily represented in the form of money. In case if it can be represented in the form of money, it would come under the ambit of the definition of wages. Like say, for example, you are giving somebody a 10 lakh, car, or let us say, a big apartment. Will that come under the definition of wages? Yes, and the definition of the wages, the component of wages, the wages is going to be a dynamic concept and it is going to change every month depending upon what kind of remuneration, what kind of allowances, what kind of remuneration that you are giving to your employees. Now, it is 11 exceptions I told you, and there are many, many deep issues with regards to this exclusion part. The first one is statutory bonus, be it a bonus under the Payment of Bonus Act or be it a bonus under the Mines Act. It would come within the fold of an exclusion. So there is no question with regards to that. Non-statutory bonuses will squarely fall under the definition of wages. The second is value of house accommodation or supply of water, light, medical attendance, etc. That also is okay, even though we can discuss a little bit on that, but then for the positive time, I'm moving on to the next, which is actually a very, very significant problem I find from the perspective of compliance. The third one is this: employer's contribution to the Provident Fund and any interest accrued thereon. See, interest is not credited by the employer. Is it? It is done by either the EPFO, or in case if it's a fund, it is done by the fund. Now the question is, how can we comply with this? Let's say, for example, when it comes to 50% of the, in case if we are going to use the proviso, then we will have to know what is the interest and how much is it. It is possible using the passbook and other means, it is possible, but the question is that what is really meant by this particular exception? Professor Inbaraj will, Dr. Inbaraj will further. Yeah, time. All right, see, I would have loved to discuss further, just to quickly say okay, I would have loved to discuss further, but it's time up for me. So I will just pass on my baton to
Hello. Yeah. So, little bit of very seriousness I am finding, and since the inaugural session, we are all fearing. और अभी time का भी fear है. So, the professor has given you a lot of things. I'm not going to tell that. I'll talk something different on compliance, all those things. First, I want to know, sir. ओके थोड़ा वॉल्यूम बढ़ा दो यार, मेरा 5-7 मिनट का है, ज़्यादा नहीं है. तो हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू बिलीव एज टोल्ड बाय द इनागुरेशन आवर ग्रेट लीडर्स तापस पंडा साहब से लेके एवरीबडी, दैट इट इज गोइंग, माय को पैनलिस्ट ऑल्सो, दैट इट इज गोइंग टू hugely impact the cost to the company and the profit of the company. Please raise your hands. Do you agree or not agree? नहीं, हाथ थोड़ा उठे, एक्सरसाइज करिए ना आपको. हाँ, थोड़ा आधा है और आधा नहीं है, ठीक है. अच्छा, मॉर्निंग से one quote has been given, HCL, Infosys, and Wipro. No, not Wipro. HCL, three IT companies. Okay, TCS. They incurred 4,000 in the last quarter, 4,323 to be very specific. आप 4,000 बोल रहे थे, लेकिन कोई उनका नीचे वाला स्टेटमेंट देखा नहीं है. नीचे वाला स्टेटमेंट very clearly written, it's one time. And when we proceed, it will be maximum 10% to 20% basis point, not even percent, basis point. 10% basis point means it is only 0.1 to 0.2% of your sales revenue. So, for a company of having a lakh of revenue, 1 lakh crores, 100 crores, 200 crores, what big it is there? Okay, first time you implemented, fine. As professor has said, no, please, sir, kindly. I'm telling, sir. Sir, let me complete, then you can say. Let me complete, you can say. No, sorry, sir. With humble submission, I don't agree. My co-panelist has also said, आप लोग, it's only a fear. अच्छा, हमको बताइए, आप बिजनेस किस लिए कर रहे हो? मनी, ठीक है, मनी. और इसका आप अगर पैसा रखेंगे, खाली पॉकेट में रखेंगे क्या? Our mindset, our Dr. Fanish told very good thing. We did not bother to see the labor law because we were giving much more than what is there. Why that mindset we cannot change? Our mind is fixated. Bhai, now professor was telling from top to bottom, everybody is an employee, so everybody is to be paid. तो आप ही लोग खाली पैसा रखोगे एंड लोअर स्ट्रेटा पैसा नहीं लेगा यार. सब भी तो बोलते मुझको भी तो लिफ्ट करा दे, गाड़ी बंगला, गाड़ी एक नहीं 2-4 दिला दे. सबका ड्रीम नहीं है, सबका ड्रीम है. तो अगर आई एम डूइंग बिजनेस, ट्राई टू इंप्रूव योर बिजनेस. कोई अगर आपका रॉ मटेरियल का पैसा बढ़ गया तो यू आर नॉट टॉकिंग पीपल का. अरे तुम कैसे पैसा लोगे यार, मैं तो चीफ हूं, मेरा सिटी इज 1 crore 2 crore. अरे ये mindset has to be thrown out. Yeah, so my thing is, my only submission is that, yes, it will be one time. It is more of how you will restructure the compliances. आप अपने ढंग से करिए, मत बोलिए कि कौन सा पहले का. So many allowances were there listed, even you did not know. In 1970 we were giving some allowance 1500 rupees. किस लिए दे रहे थे भाई? पता नहीं दे के आ रहे हैं. That is the right, you cannot stop. Now you have to put those allowances very clearly. Ministry has given clarification in its rule. That example, basic, say if basic DA is 20,000 and allowance is 40,000, other component 16,000, that is your gratuity and all those components which is at the end of your employment. So in that case, it is coming to 76,000. 50% of it is coming 38,000. So allowance is 40,000. So these 2,000 will go back and add it. So your workload, you will only rephrase where I will give. Keep in the mind that it's about what you are going to give, rather than thinking isko uda dega, usko nahi dega. That is regressive step. Let us think positively. Money is required for the company. You comply people, and you are telling people is the main asset and driver of the company which can do. Why you will not pay? Payment is to be there. You earn more. Your productivity should be more. Okay. There is nothing to be fear. I have seen now everything it is E. Your compliance, this is only unified definition, one law and one compliance. You will do everything, you keep all registers, you do fasting, you make the audit, compliance is not an issue. For an employee, you make an audit, offer of appointment is to be given, because that is the mandatory thing now, and then make the attendance. Attendance you have to make very, very strong. Earlier what happened, you people were signing, register, this, that, nothing. You take all biometric, so their attendance is very perfectly, it is there. Payment you make, payment proof you keep. There were used to be mismatches कि register में कुछ लिखा है, wage slip में कुछ लिखा है और बैंक में कुछ जा रहा है. Why you will do that? If it is streamlined, you follow that. So let's enjoy this implementation of code. It's nothing to fear. भैया वो तो आ गया है ना, आपको तो लगेगा ना, आप उसको डर डर के दोगे. अच्छा आप बोलोगे भाई पैसा तो मेरा जाएगा, तो 5 स्टार होटल में जाओगे तो पैसा देना पड़ेगा. रोड साइड में आप कम देते थे, वो काम नहीं चलेगा. अभी 10 रुपया में हम खाना खा के रह जाएंगे. People have aspiration. Let us fulfill their aspiration. Let us try to harness the most from them and get money and give money. कैसे पैसा बचाएंगे? वेज में चला जाएगा, वेज नहीं दोगे फिर क्या होगा? एकदम बढ़िया है. I support completely, and I know large companies have no problem in regular employees. हमारा तो कुछ steel authority I want, everything is streamlined, money is there. Only our problem is contractor. Okay, minimum wages sir central हो जाएगा, देंगे. हम लोग उस टाइम में tooth and nail fight पैसा चला जाएगा. Now नहीं दे रहे, that was not the law. अभी लॉ हुआ हम देंगे. आप अभी मना क्यों कर रहे हैं? हम देंगे और उसका जबर अच्छे से देंगे. So नहीं it's all thing. So anyway sir आपका इतना नॉलेज है, I cannot, मेरा कुछ बहुत छोटा है. मेरा thinking is just I want to change the mindset. कोई डर नहीं है. Enjoy, this is a पर्व. Happy. अरे पैसा किसको नहीं चाहिए? ये पैसा बोलता है, हाँ? अब पैसा मेरे को चाहिए, खाली आपको नहीं देंगे. ये कहाँ का थिंकिंग है यार? Let us stop this thinking. We can pay. Definition है, definition में जाओ. Say very simple sir. आप इतना ज़्यादा ये जो कैलिब्रेशन करने के लिए नहीं है. वेज एक्सक्लूडेड पार्ट रख लीजिए, अदर कंपोनेंट में आप नहीं जा पाएंगे. जितना जा रहा है उसका 50% क्या लिमिटेशन में रह गया, उसको वर्कआउट कर दीजिए, कैलकुलेशन. हाँ, प्रॉब्लम इज आप डोंट थिंक दिस इज वन टाइम मेजर. आप जो एक बार कर लिया, रिकैलिब्रेशन हो गया नहीं. एवरी हाइक यू आर गिविंग, you recalculate. Every promotion you are giving, recalculate it. So work is on HR. अच्छा आप देखिए, पहले फाइनेंस वाला बोलता था ये HR वाला मेरे को बताया नहीं, वो HR वाला बोलता था कि वो नहीं लॉ वाला क्लैरिफाई नहीं किया. नथिंग डूइंग. इट इज सिंगल अकाउंटेबिलिटी. अभी आप इधर उधर उसका इसको नहीं दिखा सकते हो. Single accountability, the organization, if fails, if compliance is not there, it's total company's problem. And nobody can get out, and CEOs should take care of this also. So it is single accountability. You are splitting doesn't mean accountability is also split. No. Thank you. Time ka mere paas nahi aaya love letter. Before that I've done. But before that, sir, मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है that Vidya Mandir point you told, so that UOM test, universality and originated, and that test will remain, do you think, in future?
No,
in this
because it's, I believe that this definition has a new architecture, and since it's a fresh definition, and that is actually interpretation of section 2p and section 6 of the EPF law, and since the law has become redundant, we don't have to rely on the jurisprudence of UN test again. So again, I would like to ask you about, in case if time permits, about contract labor and contract labor wages, because right now there has been some definitional changes when it comes to seal. So can you just shed some light on those aspects about vendor management and contract labor wage payment?
Yeah, contract labor. See, first thing is contractors. Earlier, what happened? Contractors were getting away with hamara responsibility. They are also employers. So even if principal employer will be paying for complying, contractor is also liable if he doesn't, because he or she is also an employer. Same responsibility, it will remain. In this area, we need to be starting from entry to their payment. Just हम लोग को totally focused रहना. One audit you do once or two. Since it is online, no, you have to develop online, because the return is to be also online, and the inspectors are not inspectors, they are inspector cum facilitators. जैसे पंडा साहब है, शेयर आएगा हम डर रहे थे 5 साल से, अभी आ गया शेयर, ठीक है, वो खा नहीं रहा है, हम उसको डोमेस्टिकेटेड करेंगे. पंडा सर मेरे को 2015 से डॉक्टर साहू वही कोड आएगा, वो कोड आएगा, अभी कोड आएगा, मैं भी डर रहा था. चलिए, तो in this contractor thing we have to be complying, because contractor guy जैसे पेमेंट नहीं देगा वो भाग जाएगा, and all those things, and हम लोग पहले बिल पेमेंट करेंगे, बता रहे थे साहब हमको. Oh, that is a problem between you and the contractor, not for the employees. So you can control the contractor from different angles. Although I will make the payment before his bill is paid, I can have some other controls. You should have that much of trust, so that compliance can be done. So everything, wages and all, will not be a problem. Little bit of outflow will be there. We have to only comply and control. Thank you. मुझे ही हे भगवान. नहीं, ठीक है. Oh, great.
The carryover is 0.2 to 1.3%. So interest is not much. The only thing to consider the statutory bonus. Okay. So we are paying statutory bonus around that November 30th, before November 30th, or especially on Diwali or Dasara.
Could you hold the mic near your mouth, please?
Yes. Yes. Now, so if suppose on the month of October I paid the statutory bonus of 20%, the amount is, for example, for a semi-skilled employee, it is 30,000 rupees. Okay. So 30,000 is exclusion. In that month, the exclusion percentage is increased. Okay. For example, in October itself, that employee is going to retire. Okay. So in that case, that gratuity will be increased based on that exclusion part.
Yes.
So the exclusion part is a variable, and it is changed in every month.
Yes, it will be changed.
So another question is that companies are paying that incentive, yearly incentive. For example, I have released the incentive in the month of April. The incentive is 2 lakh rupees.
Right.
Okay. If the salary is 30,000, incentive 2 lakh rupees. In that month, the basic salary or the wages will be 1,10,000. If share for 30 years, for that 1 month only, his gratuity is increased by 300% or 400%. So that is the pain point.
Yeah.
That is the pain point we are having.
Yeah.
So there are lot of confusion and questions. Yeah, OT is very. No, but there is a control because OT is in our control.
Yes. No, but he is right.
What? No, what?
Sir.
No, OT is at our control.
Sir, I got your and it's a real concern. You might think again. First principle. Let's make payment. Let's make better life
No,
for the
payment
people.
is okay.
Number
Payment
one.
is okay.
Now only thing whatever. Yeah.
No, how the company is going to take provision for that?
Yeah. See.
Provision up to 31st December, as per that chartered accounting standard, we have to make the provision. Provision is not a challenge. The challenge is when we are going to release one-time payment in that month. For example, an employee is retired on that month, then the impact will be huge for that particular person.
It is same as good as to. I got, sir. I got. So this even PRP.
Regarding PF and ESA, there is no problem.
So now PRP. Okay, sir. So even it's same thing. How you are going to calculate a PRP? PRP is maybe to the running to 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs or 15 lakhs. You don't know. So the seeing the trend and your business expansion plan, you have to keep the make the strategic decisions in this and keep the provision, because this is not going to, the inspector is not going to let you free. One thing wage, beyond that, whatever during employment period, even if you make, say suppose loyalty bonus after 5 years I will give, that will also come under here, because it's not terminal thing. Terminal, then only it will come on other component claim. So we have to pay that. We have to pay that, then strategically you think business, properly you plan. So there is no way out. I think on that Israel sir may throw lights on it, but yes, it is to be paid, sir. Difficult. Yeah, provision you have to make, sir. Like you are making 5 years plan, you must think how much I am going to pay in 5 years time. Suppose today I am paying 100 crores on this, and you make the calculation how much you have given for last 10 years, make an average, say it is high, increasing 20 crores or 30 crores, so you make provision for say 40 or 50 crores for that. I am saying you earn and pay, simple. Thank you, sir. Anything you want to add?
No, that's it, sir. That's it. We'll conclude.
That is only that gratuity for one in a FT case, fixed term employment only, because fixed term, you see, long term employment probably is becoming costlier for the companies, so they are looking for the specific skill, and I use that, and as a gratuitous 1 year, because the fixed term employment, if it is 3 years, I pay 1 year, some provision I will keep. So what's wrong in that? Yeah, 1 year in that case, yeah. Okay. No.
No, ma'am.
नहीं कुछ नहीं, कुछ less than एक साल कुछ नहीं है. No gratuitous.
No, actually, ma'am, I would like to take that question because it is very, very significant. See, what if I have 11 months contract, okay, and I keep on renewing it? Should I give gratuity every year, every time there is a termination of contract? See, unfortunately, the scheme of law says that unless otherwise the FT has completed 1 year, you don't have to pay gratuity, but then it will attract, in case of malafide can be proved, it will attract the unfair labor practices under the IR code, which Professor Tina will tell you, because in case if you are for depriving permanency, you are continuously renewing the contract, that would come within the fold of an ULP. Okay? Yes.
No questions? No other questions? Anyway, that was a very, very engaging session we had, and I think the entire hall. I was just about to say that one particular moment you had the entire hall excited when you said, "Paisa bolta hai." So. So when you mentioned Paisa Bolta Hai, you had the whole hall with you. Everybody was excited. Thank you for this great session. May I request Dr. Panda to please come on stage and felicitate our guests.
Thank you, wonderful audience. हमारा सर चल रहा था, मेरे को पहले दे दीजिए ना. No, please.
Thank you, Dr. Sao. Thank you, Dr. Sasi. Now we move over to the second technical session. And this session is about IR and OSH. For this session, we have Dr. Israel Imbaraj, who is the Senior VP Quest Corp, and Dr. Tina Stephen, Professor XLRI Jamshedpur. This world of IR and OSH is very thrilling, where industrial relations and occupation safety and health merge together. It's like a superhero team up, where instead of capes, we have safety boots and collective bargaining agreements. Basically, where workplace harmony meets hazard-free zones. IR handles the union negotiations before they turn into epic battles, and OSH keeps the oops out of the office safety. So let's invite Dr. Imbaraj. Dr. Israel Imbaraj, a passionate HR leader with 29 years of corporate experience in HR, IR, and compliance, an expert in labor laws, compliance management, and employee relations. He is the sole corporate professional invited to train PF enforcement officers and central assistant commissioners of labor. Known for simplifying complexities in labor laws and has trained over 10,000 HR leaders, a national board member of NHRDN and CII, ASOCAM, HRIR committee, with a track record of pro bono training for prestigious organizations and institutions. His qualifications include leadership in doctorate in leadership, MSW, PG program in human capital management at XLRI, LLM, executive MBA, and multiple certifications. He is one of the few, very few in India to train and advise on new labor codes implementation. Dr. Israel Imbaraj. And the next panelist is Dr. Tina Stephen. With over 15 years of teaching experience at XLRI Jamshedpur, Professor Tina specializes in labor and employee relation laws. She holds LLM and a PhD degree in law and is actively engaged in teaching, training, and consulting on a various range of subjects in various organizations such as Coal India, Indian Oil Corporation, Samsung Research, L&T, Reliance Industries. She has also undertaken labor law related consultancy projects in various organizations. She conducts a management development program titled Day-to-Day Labor Laws for Managers, which aims to simplify and demystify labor laws compliance for managers who do not have a legal background. Welcome, both of you.
A very good afternoon to all of you, and a very warm welcome to this session. I was told that there will be practitioners and that there will be students, so we will try to bring the discussion at a level where all of us can be on the same page. The topic that has been designated to me is the discussions on the IR code, and we'll be looking at the major changes that the code is looking at, and which are the areas which could be beneficial, which are the pain points, where is compliance getting added. The problem is that the paucity of time is a problem, so we'll try to cover as much as possible in that given time, and we'll keep a base discussion. From where do we start the discussion on the 4 labor codes? What are companies talking about, and what is it that they want to understand? So it comes into 4 different buckets. One is its impact on IR, industrial relations, unions, and what does the law say about the changed law. The second one is, has my manpower hiring model been affected? That's the second one. Can I use the new law in a more beneficial manner? That's the second point. Third, will my compliance go up? Will compliance become easier? So for the IR code, we are talking about the Samadhan portal, the Shram Suvidha portal, and things like that. So will compliance become easier? While we talk about migrating into the e-format, we also have to ask the question, how far is my HR team ready with that transition? Yeah, am I ready to do that? And the fourth one, of course, we'll not discuss that much in detail because we've already done that in the first session. That's the wage impact. We'll start with the basics first. What are the base things that we have in mind? The impact is two-pronged. So it can be a negative impact and it can be a positive impact, just to understand the overall structure of the 4 codes before we get into the details. Now, when it's a negative impact, I'll definitely ask as a company, is the change needed? Is it mandatory? Or is it optional? Okay? And if it is mandatory, how much time do I have? Vis-a-vis, what is my cost implication? That's something that I want to know if I'm talking about the mandatory part. If it is optional, of course, I will do it only if it suits me. Otherwise, I'll give it a pass. The positive impact, definitely I will include because it is good for me. I like it. Yeah, so I will go ahead and use that part. I'm not able to change the slide. Yeah. So if I look at the cost impact part, what is cost for me? Again, as I said, I will not go into the details because we've already had a cost analysis in the first session. I say that gratuity needs to be now paid, as someone was asking. Do you have to pay it after 1 year? Yeah, you have to pay it after 1 year in case of FTC. Full and final, would I have to do, within 2 days? What kind of implication does it have on me? The facilities that needs to be provided by the principal employer, what kind of cost impact it has. When you go to the OSHW code, Dr. Israel will be talking about this, that we are also talking about transgender-based facilities to be provided under the OSHW code. So is that a cost for me? Okay, so if I have to, make a provision for, say, something as simple as a toilet facility, okay? Now the law says male, female, transgender. That provision has to be made. Is that a cost for me? Okay, many of you might have heard of the famous Sudha Murthy story. Why she was not taken by Tata Steel is because they did not have the toilet facility for women, and it's truth and it's a reality even today. So if I have transgenders, do I have to provide with that extra facilities and things like that? So all of this is, you have to remember that this is not something we are doing under the OSHW code for the first time, because we already have a Transgender Protection Act which speaks about many of these things. So you look at how efficient those provisions have been earlier. So that's one point. The next one would be, yeah. The second one is the compliance impact. The compliance impact, we know under the OSHW code, the requirement of written employment contracts is mandatory now. Okay. Why? Because many base definitions have changed under OSHW code. Employer-employee relationship is very pivotal as far as the code is concerned, because of which employment contract is very important, and the format has been provided under the rules. This is again not something new, something that has always been there. So if you go to a simple legislation like a Shops and Establishments Act, so you take the example of say Karnataka SNE Act, has always provided you for a format of a written employment contract. Form Q of the Karnataka SNE Act has spoken about this. So written employment contracts, just that there is a new fresh thrust or a new fresh push towards this. The OSHW code, I will not eat into his area, now speaks about engagement of women in night shifts. Yeah. How impactful is that? We know that from a practical perspective, many of you might have worked in core industry, factory manufacturing. You know that many companies have been doing that for a very long period of time, that if you want women, you intimate the appropriate authorities and you can use women in the night shift. IT has been doing this for a very long time, that they use women in the night shift. SNE provisions, exemption has been there. But a code which speaks now saying that there is not going to be a time-based restriction, that women can do any job and women can work at any point of time. Both of these things are a DEI perspective to the law. Yeah, the perspective that speaks about women have the freedom to decide. Sounds good. Yeah, the rules are basically the same. If you have worked in IT, ITS, you would know that if there are women in your company, it's the same regulation. If women work in IT, ITS, in night shift, what are the benefits that you are supposed to give? What are the things that you keep in mind when women are hired in night shift? What do we do? Anyone? When women are hired in night shift or work late nights in organization, what is the base benefits that we keep in mind? Security based. Transportation is one. Anything else? Lighting, well lit. In factories we talk about well lit facilities. Yeah. So security, proper security. The pitch is basically on proper security. It's the same thing that the OSHW code is sort of again stressing, that consent should be there. Whatever is the definition of consent as far as India is concerned. Yeah, so what does consent mean for us in many cases? At the time of joining, we say your appointment is subject to your consent. Okay, so consent, we take consent. We will not say how we take it. So consent is taken. Transportation security facilities are made. For certain undertakings, like say for example, we are talking about a mine-based establishment, you will say that not less than 3 women should be there when you go under the ground. Okay, so those changes are there, and the base thing being that there is a lot of freedom. So without naming the company, one training program while we were handling, the company says that now we have shift for women, and women can work in night shifts also, we know. But when the shift system got introduced for women, it ended up being so that all the women were doing the day shift and all men had to do the night shift. And then there is an angst from the side of the men that we are not getting to do the day shift. So there could be practical implications of this if we try to understand. So these are the 4 things. I'll come back to the base discussion. These are the 4 buckets we are talking about: IR, manpower hiring, compliance, and wage impact. Now from the IR context, we know that there is a big discussion around the use of fixed term employment. FTE is not new, has been a recognized format of hiring for a very long period of time. Many across sectors, you take IT, you take core, you take manufacturing, you take educational institutions, yeah, everywhere using FTE has been an accepted traditional mode. Yeah, everywhere we use FTE. Can you tell me what is the benefit of an FTE? What is the base benefit of using fixed term contracts? Why do organizations use it? So many students are also there. What is the benefit of fixed term employment? Why does an organization? काफी basic question है. हाँ जी बोलिए. Recurring liability नहीं है. देखिए, there is no recurring liability. It's more like you get a job done. Yeah. you don't have a continuous liability. You don't want so many people on your roll. So we say it's for you know, a 6-month contract, a 1-year contract, a 2-year contract, and you're done with that. FTE is again not new. ISO has introduced FTE long back 2017-18. Already FTE is there. So you can hire someone on fixed term contract. It's just that the code has given a new clarity that look, this is a proper way of manpower hiring. Second one, so this is basically the definition of FTE. I try to avoid definitions as far as possible because it triggers a certain dislike towards the subject. But then nevertheless, given that this is an important one, I will use this. You will see that in the sorry, I think I just, could you please go back to the slide I was using earlier? FTE slide, please. Yeah. So if you look at the FTE format, what does it say? It's actually a little intriguing because it says you can use an FTE. It should be a written contract. This, while you hire an FTE, it should be based on the hours of work, the wages, the allowances should be not less than that of a permanent workman. That is what the clause says. This looks very similar if you remember under Contract Labor Regulations Act, section rule 25(5) yeah, of the CLRI Act says the same thing, that if you hire a contract labor, you cannot pay him less than what you have been paying for a permanent worker for the same or similar job, of course based on the exceptions based on the UP Rajya Vidyut case. Yeah. So all of these things have to look similar. And the eligibility criteria, which is the statutory benefits, has to be exempts the statutory minimum. What does statutory minimum mean? All the benefits that a person will get under a particular law, there is always a statutory period. Say for example, MBA, yeah, Maternity Benefits Act. Statutory could be 80 days. ID Act, statutory minimum is 240 days, so on and so forth. Yeah. So here it says statutory minimum is not required, especially when you come to gratuity, 1 year is enough. So the first question that an HR manager will ask is, if FTE gratuity can be, the threshold is 1 year, can I create an FTE which is for 11 months? The first question you will ask. Yeah. The law is silent. Can you do that? It is possible. Legally it is possible. Yeah. So legal loopholes are there. If you want to bend the law, it is still possible, unfortunately. Yeah, but then the idea is to give the same kind of security. See, what does the law say for FTE? You can hire a person on contract. Legally now, FTE is a recognized method of hiring. You can hire as much as you want. It does not say what percentage of your employees can be on FTE. Doesn't matter. Yeah. It does not say how long the person can be on FTE. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So all that flexibility for FTE you can use, but in case he touches 1 year, you have to pay gratuity. You have to pay him wages which are at least somewhere on parity with the full-time regular employees. Other benefits, other protection scheme of continuous renewals, those things are not there in the law. The fact that the unfair labor practices chapter, original chapter, schedule 5 of the ID Act still is there. You have to keep that in mind. What does it say? To keep someone on a temporary basis or casual basis with the sole intention of depriving that person of permanency is considered as an unfair labor practice under the law. So that core definition is still there. So you have to now juggle between thinking, how are you going to figure out the FTE provision vis-a-vis how are you going to figure out the unfair labor practices provision within your law. So that's going to be one challenge. So one model of hiring, I'll go back to where we were. One model of hiring is basically the, this is a little messy for me. Guys, can you please go back to the original slide? I do not know why the slide is changing. which is the button that I'm supposed to use, the forward button? The larger one, this side, right? Okay. Can you go to the FTE slide, please, the one which I was using? Fixed term employment, please go back. Yeah, that's it, yeah. So the next format that you will see is contract labor, traditional model, still there. So all of these are different types of hiring models that we are talking about. One is your FTE, one is your contract labor, not much of a change. The only thing that we see under the contract labor hiring model is this, that the introduction of section 57. Section 57 starts with a very bombastic kind of a statement. It says, notwithstanding anything contained in this part, employment of contract labor in core activity of any establishment is prohibited. Does that sound good or does that sound bad? Does that sound good or does that sound bad? That if you have contract labor for core activity, it is a prohibited category. Does that sound good or bad? Yeah, you cannot use contract labor for core activity. Yeah, does it sound good? No. Why? Because we know that we function at a practical level, we function with a huge chunk of agency employees or contract labor as we call. Now, then there is a desi twist to it, to the provision. It cannot be that prohibitory in nature. No, it will not work like that in India. So what does it say? You can use contract labor provided the normal functioning of the establishment is such that the activity is ordinarily done through the contractor. Always that particular job is done through a contractor. Traditionally, we have been doing that for a very long period of time. It's a core job, but always throughout the industry, that job is done by contract labor. Can you give me an example for that? Anyone? Traditionally, a job which is a core job. Housekeeping. Now, again, we have to keep in mind another provision that is called what is non-core, 2P, defined under the law. 2P says that works like loading, unloading, works like hospitality, works like sanitation. And it's a long list, we have just added a few. Hospitals, running clubs and things like that, these are all non-core. So you can go ahead and use them. But then when it is core, you cannot use. So you have to now, there's a new struggle for you to understand what is core, what is non-core. How do I use? So coming back to the base question, that if there is a confusion, appropriate government decides whether it is core or non-core. Otherwise, if it is a core activity, then, can you please go back? If it is a core activity, then you cannot use contract labor. So the idea is that the provision begins with a prohibition. Okay, this has actually replaced the original section 10 prohibition clause of the CLRA Act. Okay, so these are the provisions. How much time do I have? Sorry? 10 minutes more? Yeah. Okay, so the other thing that companies want, see, one thing that we need to keep in mind, as we were mentioning earlier, the IR code has now specifically brought out an IESO model standing orders for the service sector. Okay, so till now the IESO was used very religiously by the core sector or by manufacturing sector, but ITITS, including other service sectors, there is a new model standing orders that has come in. You can have a look at that provision. You will see that provisions relating to secrecy of data, confidential information, how do you deal with clients, protecting the asset of the employer company. All of those provisions are now there in the third schedule, which has been brought in as an addendum. And it makes sense because if you look at the IESO Act, like for example in states like Karnataka, IESO exemption for ITITS, correct, has been there for a very long period of time. Now, what did the government of Karnataka itself state? It said that if the IR code comes into the picture, we will re-look at the exemption given to ITITS. Exemption means that there is more flexibility, there is lesser clarity on service conditions. So that will now, you know, it's supposed to take a back seat, but then we don't know how that will work. So there is a new model standing orders also that we have. The big change, of course, is in the adjudication mechanism. एम्प्लॉयज़ जैसे कि पहले बोलते थे आप टर्मिनेट कर दो तो क्या बोलते थे, अभी आपको कोर्ट में देख लूँगा, लेबर कोर्ट में. दैट यूज टू बी अ स्टैंडर्ड डायलॉग ऑफ मेनी एम्प्लॉयज़, नो. अब लेबर कोर्ट नहीं रहा. Yeah, there is no labor court. Yeah, we know that there is a tribunal system now. Labor courts are going to be wiped out, and the tribunal system is so the reference system that we have under the old labor laws is not there. There is no more reference of disputes. And there is elimination of the labor courts. Tribunal, you will find that there is a judicial member and there is a non-judicial member on the tribunal. The power of reference has been by and large eliminated. So a reference point could be section 53. If you are interested at looking at the adjudication mechanism, it is section 53. 53, it states that first, internal grievance redressal mechanisms have to be strengthened. That's very important. Inside the organization, whatever mechanism that you have for grievance redressal has to be strengthened. Why? Because from the internal grievance redressal mechanism, you can directly go to conciliation. Yeah? And from conciliation, you can directly go into adjudication. So it's a straight path, the first level being the GRC now, if you look at it from a practical perspective. So your internal GRC, the grievance redressal mechanisms that you have, certain companies, they don't operate very well. Yeah. So if that is what's happening in your company, it becomes important for you to see that that mechanism gets strengthened. Yeah. So section 53 is a relevant provision. If you are comfortable, you look at the flow that it states. Any concerned party can make an application under section 53 in the prescribed format, means you have to go to the rules, to the tribunal in the matters that is not settled by conciliation. Okay? If conciliation fails, generally the failure report is sent and then a reference is made by the appropriate government. That is gone, and now you can directly move into the adjudication process. So this process actually creates a lot of ease on the benches, because a lot of ease on the government, because the government is not there in the picture. Earlier, the government used to decide whether reference has to be made or not. Now the government doesn't have to decide that. Good or bad, we will see how it gets implemented. Yeah. So those are basically the primary points. I'm skipping all of this because we'll come to Dr. Israel also. I don't want to eat up all the time. But just one quick change under the IR code that we are seeing is from the perspective of union management. It is not as simple as it looks. On the slide, it looks very simple. Yeah, but this is now not how it will look when we try to implement it. We know that the law has created a system for a negotiating council. Recognition of a union has always been a very big problem from an IR perspective. With which union can I bargain? Whom should I bring to the table? It's a huge headache. Yeah. So what does now the law say? The law says that, so we have so many decisions. Okay, so we have so many decisions of the Supreme Court, the MRF 2009 decision, all telling you a formula for how recognition of union is possible. Who should come to the bargaining table? The simple logic being that look at the majority union. Now the code gives you a formula for that. What is that formula? It says that in case there is a sole union in the organization, yeah, that sole union becomes the negotiating union. Now for this you have to go to the IR rules. The IR rules is a separate draft code only for recognition of unions. Yeah, it says that this sole union should have at least 30%. Second one, it says if you have two unions, the one which has 50% or more becomes the negotiating union, and if there are no unions which touches the 50% threshold, then there is one person representative going to the negotiating council with one representative for every 20% of the majority. So that's the broad guideline, but the guideline might not be enough to break the IR scenario in an organization. Yeah, so that's basically my points. Yeah, sir, over to you.
Shall I use the stage here? Yes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Hello. Yeah. Good afternoon, friends. Thank you for the invite. Madam, actually, a little bit of practical side of the IR code I would like to cover with your permission. Just 5-6 points, if you want to note down, I'll cover. From the operational aspect and the industry point of view, I'll explain. One is about the IR code. It's about definition of employer has changed. Definition of employer. What does it impact? We should understand. The word uses is actually if you are directly or indirectly employing. That means prior to this new labor code, as a principal employer, you need not bother about compliance pertaining to ID Act and Standing Orders Act, Gratuity and Bonus Act. These, excluding this 4 only, you have to cover. For example, ID cannot be directly raised against the principal employer under the old code, except if it is a sham contract. Now, every contract labor also having a right to raise the dispute against the principal employer. So what is a real benefit that people are going to get benefited because of engaging contract labor? It's going to go off. Definition of employer change is going to have a huge impact, either engage through direct employment or through contractor. Second is about the FTE. Madam has very clearly explained about it. Madam also asked one question, FTE, why it is for 1 year? It is for the hardship they need to undergo for a job insecurity at the time of joining. You and me have an employment, we know that it's going to close at the end of the retirement only. But structurally, by design itself, they know that my employment is going to end by 2 years. What about my family, my future income? There is a kind of insecurity, hardship. To compensate that hardship only, this kind of FTE, 1 year gratuity is given. And as rightly pointed out, FTE should be the intention of job requirements. If you are engaging for the purpose of avoiding the permanency benefits, it's unfair labor practice, 6 months jail for the employer, not for you, for the employer. Okay. Tell the employer this is what they have to look into that. That's why I always say that employee, HR always can lead the labor law from the beginning. The employer should read from the last page of the law. You know why? Punishments are given in the last page of the laws. Right? Because many times when go and tell, they don't accept. They say, no, always you come and put the barriers. No, it's a fact, you are going to get suffer. Right? And next one is about the 300 standards. Earlier we had go to the government for the approval, for the layoff, retrenchments, all those things. Earlier it was 100 and above. Now it is for the 300 and above. That's the major change. And it's, including standing orders. You have to have it only if you have the 300 and above. And strike. Earlier it was only public utility service, they have to give a prior notice before going for a strike. Others can go a flash strike also, except the Payment of Wages Act standards, where this 8 days wages cut and all there. Now, even any establishment, if they need to go on a strike, they can go for a 14 days notice to be given. It is a good thing for the employer. And within 14 days, if they are giving a notice, you can go for an ID. ID, if you raise it 60 days during the proceeding, after 60 days they cannot go for a strike. Literally, union cannot go for a strike. That's the reason unions are not accepting the code. And my handwriting itself finding difficult to read. That's why I used to tell always, I'm not only doctorate by leadership, I'm doctorate by birth because of my handwriting. Okay, GRC is more empowered. So far we all, even being in TCS for 8 years, IT company and manufacturing for 18 years, I know that GRC we have, Grievance Redressal Committee from the year 2010. But now it's going to become more empowered. Any grievance before going to the ID provision, it has to be routed through GRC is the new change in the provision. They are expecting you to resolve before they go to the court. So empowering that is more important. The operational aspects more is involved in the GRC. That's point number 5. 6 is about, Madam rightly pointed out, negotiating council. Earlier, the recognition of union was the discretion of the employer. Recognition of means you should call them and negotiate with them certain points before you come to a conclusion. Like in the IT company, we put the D rating, C rating, after that PIP, sending all those things, that discretionary power is taken off from you. Union will come in front of you, they will discuss, you negotiate. So more IR skill is required for including IT companies. So that's going to be a major shift in the case. Because even though there is no union, you should have a kind of committee inside, negotiating council you are going to create, which is going to drive you, take your power in driving the employee relations. So good thing for the students sitting back is more IR jobs are going to come, be happy about it because of the new labor code. More job opportunities. Think about, like a TCS having 5 lakhs employees across India, 6.5 lakhs employees, IT, all those places, IR managers were not there, only ER managers. Now you are going to have IR managers. otherwise running difficult. These are all the 6 key points I thought I should share. Evening I have a session on FAQ. These questions I'm going to ask you again, the reverse order. So be ready, please listen to all these questions. FAQ sessions we are going to have in the evening. With regard to the OSH code, for the employers, registration is mandatory any establishment having 10 or more employees. Registration is mandatory. And license is mandatory for specific functions. So we must be wondering, what is the registration license? Registration is for car, license is for the driver. You understand the difference? Registration is for the car, license is for the driver. Similarly, registration for the establishments, license is for entering into a specific activity. That difference is there. If a detailed session is there, we can cover those points. And also for your information, IR code, impact of IR code and what is the takeaway from that. I have written an article, published article. It is there in my LinkedIn page. You can click that, you can download and easily read that also. It is giving a complete picture about what is the impact of IR code on the employees and the employers. It's there actually, right? And my name also is easy to find out from LinkedIn. Israel is the country spelling, type it. I don't think many people will have that name. You can easily find out, right? And license. Sorry. And most important, I liked from this code, most important favorite section, entire code is about timeline fixed for the government approval, otherwise it will become deemed approval. As a HR, we know that we struggle a lot. You submit something, you don't know whether it is going to come, license is going to come, standing order certification will come or not, you have to follow up, you have an agency, you have to go and talk to them, you have to use Gandhiji for that purpose, many things are there. Good Panda sir is not there, I'm saying this. Okay. Okay, so as a result, without getting into this, it will become a deemed approval is the most favorite section of all these things. I like it, registration, license, standing orders. Wonderful sections that you are going to, HR pain is coming down, expected actually, provided the website is working for that matter. Otherwise, sometimes website will not work, then you have to go and meet them. That challenge is also there. And free health checkup, of course, it's most important, but age factor, 40 is in the rules, but yet to come into that. When you are sending them for the free health checkup, you are supposed to take care of their on duty, not after office hours. If you are after office hours, you have to pay the due, pay the cost of the, even the overtime also, and also travel expenses you should incur. That's a change. And becoming more officially formal employment. All employment should become an appointment letter should be given by the employer. If it is a contractor, he has to give. If it is a regular employee, employer should give. Even for housekeeping, everybody, appointment letter should be given. That's the most important change. And also, even contract labor also, when they are asking for a certificate, service certificate, many times we know that how we treat them in service certificate. Contractor must give a service certificate also for them. It is a legal mandate now. Template also given for that. What should be content of appointment letter and service certificate, both template is given. You should follow the contents of the template also. And safety committee, earlier it was only 1,000 people above, safety committee, safety officer, now 500 also should have it. And one more job opportunities, welfare officer. Earlier welfare officer only 500 above, now it is 250 and above. Almost double the rate of welfare officer job is required. I hope MBA here also in the state also approved for the welfare officer position by the government, then MBAs will have more job for that. And coming back to leave encashment, yes, other big pain, actually people started talking about leave encashment is, yes, of course, it must be given only for workers, not for all employees, legally speaking. Who is a worker? Worker is an individual contributor, irrespective of salary. Anybody is individual contributor is a worker. That's the difference we should understand, worker and employee. And leave encashment actually should be paid on the wages, what's supposed to be there. In excess of 30 days is there. Whatever leave excess of 30 days you are having, that should be in cash from the carry forward. Only on the earned leave. Only on the earned leave, not on other leaves. You should have a bifurcation of leaves, that's most important. Some organization having a joint leave have a difficulty of encashing it now. And hours of work, earlier it was only Factories Act, S&D Act, different slabs were there. Now anything, anybody is 8 hours above is considered as the overtime. Irrespective of other laws, anybody is working more than 8 hours is considered as overtime, only for workers again. Because the OSH code and IR code predominantly predominantly talks about the workers' safety, not about the employees in general. Other two codes are employees. These codes are predominantly workers. Workers means individual contributor again, right? And weekly off, earlier it was within 10 working days you should have 1 day and all. Now it is 7th day must be a weekly off. And compensation can be given within 90 days. Weekly off. No overtime payment. Sir, somebody work on Sunday, I give a overtime and payout, that's not allowed. Weekly off is actually deprived, you must give one more weekly off only, not a money, right? And national festival holidays, it is different. It's not touched upon. It's a state law, you have to refer for that. And night shift, women are also allowed now. Earlier it was prohibition in the factories, it is there. Now it is women are also allowed. That's a change. And most importantly, contract labors, core jobs, contract labors are prohibited. But with an exception, that exception indirectly means who are already engaging contract labor are allowed. When the new industry goes for a contract labor engagement in core jobs, that's where the challenge will come. That's the way interpretation is as of now there actually. So existing contract labor, you're engaging core jobs, you are safe. But moving forward, if you are going to start a new industry and you are going to have a contract labor on core jobs, it will be challenging getting that. And interpretation, which is core job, is also given to the authority. So you need more Gandhiji support there. Right? So these are all the major changes pertaining to this class. With the time constraint, I would like to tell you this. Detailed manner, we'll also discuss in the evening FAQ, provided if you are patient enough to stay back in the evening, FAQ sessions will deal. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for this very engaging and interesting session. I would request Dr. Shantanu Rath to please come up on stage and felicitate our guests.
Thank you so much for the pen.
Okay, no.
Yours. Okay, thank you so much. A lot of clarity.
Thank you very much. Now we would like to close the session and go for lunch. Before we go for lunch, I would like to thank Tata Power on behalf of NHRD for sending the maximum number of participants today. The lunch break is only for 45 minutes, so kindly ensure you are back here by 1:50. Thank you. Okay, 1:45.